গতকালকে আপনারা যারা মক ইন্টারভিউতে ছিলেন আর্গো ভিসার সাথে, আম, কয়েকজন মক ইন্টারভিউ দিতে পেরেছিল, সবাই দিতে পারেনি। আমরা আরও ওয়েবিনারের আয়োজন করছি। পরবর্তী ওয়েবিনারগুলোতে ওগুলি আর ফ্রি থাকবে না, ওখানে অংশগ্রহণ করতে গেলে একটা ফি হবে, ইউজুয়ালি $50 পার পারসন। এখানে 8 থেকে 15 জন থাকবে। গতকালকের ওয়েবিনারে প্রায় 250 জনের মতো ছিল, সো এটা পসিবল ছিল না সবাইকে মক ইন্টারভিউ নেওয়ার। সো নেক্সটে আপনি যদি ডিরেক্টলি ভিসা অফিসের সাথে কথা বলতে চান, তাহলে যোগাযোগ করবেন কম্পাসের সাথে। কম্পাসের সাথে করলে আপনার ছোটো ছোটো গ্রুপের আয়োজন করা হয়েছে, যেখানে $50 পার পারসন। আদারওয়াইজ ওয়ান সেশন করতে পারেন, যেটা $300 30 মিনিটের জন্য, $450 45 মিনিটের জন্য, আর 1 ঘন্টার জন্য $600। বাট যেটা ব্যয়বহুল হয়ে যেতে পারে। সো গ্রুপ সেশনটা রিলেটিভলি অ্যাফোর্ডেবল। সো যদি আপনারা নেক্সট সেশনে যদি অংশগ্রহণ করতে চান, তাহলে কম্পাসের সাথে যোগাযোগ করবেন। এর পরবর্তীতে আমি জাস্ট প্রেজেন্টেশনটা আর্গোর ভিডিওতে আপনি দেখতে পারবেন। তো এই প্রেজেন্টেশনের মাধ্যমে আপনি আর্গো ভিসা সম্পর্কে জানতে পারবেন। আরও জানতে আর্গো ভিসার ইউটিউব ফলো করবেন, এবং ওদের ওয়েবসাইটও অবশ্যই দেখে আপনি দেখে নেবেন যে ওখানে কারা কারা ভিসা অফিসাররা আছে। নেক্সট টাইমে সেম ভিসা অফিসার থাকতে পারে যদি আমরা রিকোয়েস্ট করি, অথবা আমরা অন্য কোনো ভিসা অফিসারকেও আনতে পারি। সো জানাবেন আমাদেরকে। পরবর্তীতে আপনি প্রেজেন্টেশনটা দেখে আর্গো ভিসা সম্পর্কে আরও আইডিয়া নেবেন। ধন্যবাদ।
Hi, everybody. How are you? It's evening for you and it's morning for me in beautiful Bend, Oregon. Sebastian and Tamzid, thank you for that wonderful introduction. As Sebastian said, I'm a retired officer, just recently retired, worked all over the world. Sebastian named some of my countries there. And I have adjudicated hundreds of thousands of F1s. F1s have always been a particular favorite of mine because I love to see the students go to the United States to pursue an education. How we're going to proceed is Sebastian's going to put up a PowerPoint and I'm going to go through the PowerPoint. But I really know that all of you want to ask me questions. And I am going to answer your questions with the help of Sebastian and Tamsi. And I'm also going to do some mock interviews with some people who would like to volunteer. And I promise to be nice to you, but I will make you work hard so that you can see them, so you can get an experience of the most important questions. So, F1 visas, interviews in 2025. So 2025 has been such an interesting year. Here you can see some of the Argo officers. Argo has officers from all over the world. They recruited some of the best officers in the world, and many of them I've worked with, and I know them. So Argo has brought as much experience as they could find to you, so that you would have lots of people to select from. So please know that we speak languages, we've worked different areas, and you can see some pretty pictures there. I'm going to have to tell them to get my pretty picture up there too. So next slide. Next slide. So I just wanted to do a little bit about the visa trends, everybody. A lot of people right now, there's a lot of nervousness, and I don't blame you for that. And there's a lot of appointments are not being released. There's lots of wait times. There's now the social media, which I'm going to touch on for you also, because I know it's of interest. So if you look right now, when I look at these numbers, I think, wow, I know where I was when this was happening, and I was doing a lot of visas. So for 20%, I can't quite see what year that was. So that was 21. In 2021, there was 20% refusal rate, which, we were coming out of COVID at that time. And, everybody was just beginning to get back and live in the real world. So there was a little bit of, difference there as F1 visas and universities put things back together. In 2022, 35% refusal. 2023, 36, it began to creep up. And in 2024, 41% refusal. And that shows you how the times are changing a little bit. No longer is it possible to go in to get a visa and give a one-word answer and a short sentence. Now you have to be fully prepared. And this is what the officers at Argo do. They get you prepared for this, for the interview. So Sebastian, next slide, please. So new social media vetting. Oh, that's worrying everybody. Let me tell you, it's also been a difference. You know, from June 18th, things were starting to change. You know, some appointments were frozen, then they were released again after June 18th. And then we heard social media. Okay, everything's going to be vetted. You have to make sure on your DS-160 you put all the links you have for social media. That's important. I have been recommending my clients to, as soon as they submit their DS-160, to open their social media to public, because there's no set standard along the embassies and the consulates on how everybody is reviewing social media. Still a little bit of a mystery, but it also, you know, it will level out. For instance, on reports I've been receiving, on some F-1 students, they've gone in, interviewed, got approved, and were handed their visa there and then. So maybe the embassies and consulates are doing pre-screening. Another report, an individual went in, his social media was set to public, but he was put into 221G pending social media administrative processing, which means 221G is your soft refusal, which means your visa is approved pending further review, or refused pending further review. And a lot of the countries, this has been happening. I've seen this happening more and more across the world, where the officer will hand you a notice saying 221G social media. Then you'll be notified when your visa is accepted, and I hopefully accepted. I don't want to say denied. Is accepted, and you can pick up your visa, and that's taking anywhere from a week to a month. My best advice to you all is make sure your social media is clean. There's nothing on it. Just, you know, if your mom or your grandmother would approve of your social media, that's probably the litmus test you want to take. And if you did forget to put, because some of you would have put your DS-160s in prior to these new regulations coming in. If you did do that, let me give you a little tip. I'm going to tell you my secrets now, that I tell my clients, is when the officer asks you, please, and when you arrive for your interview, please can you give me your passport and your appointment letter. If you've forgotten any of your links, I would suggest you type out on a piece of paper, and I say type because handwriting is subjective, could be good handwriting, bad handwriting, and just say to the officer, I forgot to put a social media link on my DS-160, and just give that to the officer. So try not to panic if that happens, but that's my biggest advice to you there. And I'm happy to answer any questions on social media that you may have at the end. So next slide. Thank you, Sebastian.
Okay.
Top challenges. Sebastian, you can't enlarge this, can you? But no, I'll pull it up here. Just give me a minute.
And let me see if that's possible.
Because my eyesight's not that good, Sebastian.
No worries, Caroline. I'm trying to check, but actually I don't see the first kind of.
Just give me a minute. I'll pull it up, everybody, if you can. But I could probably.
Oh, I think it's larger now.
Oh yeah, now I can see it. You know, I've got old eyes here, Sebastian. So the top challenges when you go for your interview is what you need to know what to expect. You need to be prepared there when you go. You know, the officer, your interview is going to be 2 to 3 minutes. You have to put your best foot forward and give the performance of a lifetime during that time. I'm just going to pop on. I just pulled this up here too. So let's through this. The consul officers are expecting certain things from all of you. They're expecting you to be able to talk credibly about why you want to study in the United States. They want to hear what's your trajectory. Why does this make academic sense? You know, officers don't really want to hear about, I like the professors, you know, I like the weather because it reminds me of home. They want to hear why do you academically want to take this course? For example, officer, I graduated with a bachelor's in 2023. From there, I gained some work experience, and now I'd like to do my master's degree at the University of Florida. So because it offers me courses in XYZ, talk about your curriculum. You must know about your curriculum, which meets with my future goals. Officers, guilty until proven innocent. That can be a little harsh, but what that really means is officers are not in the business of providing you with looking for a way to give you a visa. They've got 150 people to interview in 4 to 5 hours. They want you to show them why you are credible. Half the battle of a visa interview is confidence. I say to my clients, look in the mirror, eye contact, smile, even though you're terrorized. And that first question response you give to the officer is one of the most important because it sets the tone of the rest of your interview. Communication skills. You're going to be interviewed in English, F-1, but speak English when you go to the US. So, when you're waiting for your visa interviews, make sure you work on your communicative skills. Be concise, be precise, and listen to the question the officer asks you. For students that are unfamiliar with American culture, they may come across as more nervous, but officers do know you're nervous. And on this point, the biggest advice I can give to you is if you don't understand the question the officer asks you, say, officer, excuse me, please, could you repeat the question? Try never to answer a question incorrectly. Always ask the officer. There's always a lot of noise in the embassies and the consulates. So I want you to be able to, understand what the officer's asking you. Can we get the next slide, Sebastian? How can a student overcome these challenges? Understand the requirements. We just discussed that. Know why you're going there. I, as an officer, and I've trained hundreds of officers who are spread all over the world. I hope they're good officers. And when I train my officers, I'd say to them, ask what's your favorite subject? Have the student talk about what might be their favorite subject. And I can't tell you that there was many a student couldn't tell me or what their favorite subject was. There's strengths and weaknesses to everybody. Only you can tell your own story. I know everybody reads the student blogs, they, get stressed, it's all the talking, but remember your story is unique to you. It's totally unique to you. So you have to tell your own story, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. They're looking for a credible student. Financial resources. You've got to have at least a year with cushion before an officer is going to approve your visa. So make sure you have your financial documents. You can talk articulately about your financing. Strong ties to the United States. Again, strong ties to the United States this is a non-immigrant visa expected. What am I going to do? What are you going to do when you graduate? You talk to the officer, say, well, officer, when I graduate, I'm going to make it a substantial answer that you've thought it through. Plans change, but do have an answer for that. Prepare and practice. I tell my clients, record yourself. iPhones have recordings now. And if you don't make sense to yourself when you listen to your answers, there's a chance you're not going to make sense to the officer. And officers only have so much patience in an interview, so you've got to come in strong with your responses. Sebastian, next slide, thank you. Understand the F1, understand the requirements for an F1 visa. I just talked about, are you credible? Does the financial plan make sense? And what's your plans when you return to your home country? So I kind of was ahead of myself on this slide. Sebastian, can we go to the next slide? Thank you.
Sure.
Know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Good opportunities in your home country. Talk about your ties, your family, your plans. And I've seen a lot of students recently thinking that if they are only child, that they say, well, officer, I have to return to my home country because I'm the only child of my parents. Remember, you've been gone for 3 years and your parents have been looking after themselves. So be really careful what you use for your ties. A clear vision, plan of goals. Officer, I plan to return to my home country in Bangladesh, where I'm going to use my degree to seek a position with companies in the area such as IBM or Google. acceptance to a good university. There's lots of universities out there, and the good universities are good, but that doesn't what hinges. What hinges is how you answer the officer's questions. And I've seen recently students going to the good universities that have been turned down because they've not been able to show that credibility, home ties or financial, to the officers. Siblings that haven't returned. Is lots of students have family and friends in the United States. And some that you are honest. You're honest on your DS 160. Do not hide anything, and be upfront with the officer when they ask you. If one of your siblings went there on a B1, B2 and didn't return, and the officer asks you, well, how did your sister go to the United States? And just say, well, officer, I know that my sister went in a B1, B2, and from that point on, I'm not sure what she did. I believe she changed status, but just tell the truth. And the officers will look at that, but they will look at your overall picture, but don't hide anything. Officers have inbuilt radar. We know when somebody is not telling us the truth. So my advice is to be upfront and honest. Next slide. Yep. How we can help. It's a story. This is Argo works with you and what your strengths and weaknesses are. We try to get away from giving you generic advice. We look at you as an overall person, and we have the ability for you to upload documents to us. That's great for the officers. We can go in and kind of read your history. So the more information you provide to us before your consult, the more we can help you. So, you send us lots of documents. I'm sure my colleagues might not let me say that, but this is great because we work with the documents. We look at your strengths. Sometimes you don't even know your own strengths as a visa applicant or your weaknesses, and that's what we help you with. The mock interviews, it's the real thing. Hopefully I'm going to get a couple of mock interviews today if you're not all too scared of me. And, I'm going to say to you, tell me, why do you want to study in the United States? Why do you want to go to University of Florida? And I'm expecting a strong answer. And with the mocks, I will give the feedback as to what's not strong and what's not weak, and that will really help you. But, reach out to Argo, wonderful team of officers, and just know that we really care, and we really care to get you your visa so you can study in the United States.